If you care about a beginning or struggling reader and you're wondering whether they're being taught according to the latest and best science, here are some questions to ask and things to think about. The first question to ask is, what kind of books is the student being given to read? And I have here an example of a predictable text where the sentences are more or less repeated. So if you have a look at that picture, the sentences for that picture are, "What are you doing?" said Danny. "I'm building a house," said the builder. And then you turn the page and there's the next picture. "What are you doing?" said Danny. "I'm fighting a fire," said the firefighter. Now, if I take the text away and you have a look at the next picture, you've kind of got the hang of it by now, I bet, and you can probably guess what the text is, more or less. "What are you doing?" said Danny. "I'm stopping the cars," said the police officer. You might have said policeman or policewoman, or you might have said directing the traffic or something, but you more or less guessing the text from the picture. There's too much sounding out complexity here. Police, that's officer. How are beginners meant to sound that out? This is based on an idea about reading and spelling that has been debunked. Here's another predictable text, and as you can see, it's got hard spellings, two-syllable words, very hard spelling there. And the only way that beginners and strugglers can read this kind of book is by looking at the pictures and guessing. And a lot of kids with some phonics teaching can use these ones to learn to read, but the kids I'm most concerned about really flounder with these books. They need much more explicit teaching. Luckily, there's been an explosion of decodable texts on the market. There's ones available for little kids, for strugglers, there's some available for adults, there's even print your own ones. And so there's really no excuse for giving a beginning or a struggling reader the memorise and guess kind of book. The next question is, are children being encouraged to memorise high-frequency words? They might have a word list like the Fry words, here's the Oxford word list, the Dolch words, the magic words, and so on. When I look at lists like this, I tear my hair out because, look, me and we are not together. Why would you not learn those together? Me, and over here we've got be and he and she. And I would also add the word the, because when you say the elephant, when you've got a vowel after it, you do say more of an E sound. We say the when it's before a consonant. But those words should be grouped together and taught as a bunch that follows a certain pattern. Here are the Oxford words, and we have played is before play, and then overleaf we've also got playing as if they've got nothing to do with each other. In a sensible system, you would learn play and then you learn how to put ed on the end and how to put ing on the end. Here are the Fry words, and you can see I've highlighted some really basically spelt words. And, in, it, on, at, from, an. Why is any child being taught to memorise on or an or am or get or did? These are utterly sound-outable, and that's just with the most basic code. With a little bit of knowledge about other patterns, most of these words can be sounded out and are perfectly regular. There is no need to memorise them as wholes. That's an inefficient way to teach them. I've just been to a really interesting conference in Perth where one of the speakers was talking about an experiment where intelligent adults were taught new vocabulary represented in unusual script, and one group of the adults was taught to focus on the sounds that are represented by the script, and the other group were taught to focus on the meanings. And at the end of the experiment, surprise, surprise, the people who focused on the sounds were better at saying the words out loud. I guess that's not surprising, but what was also most interesting was they were better at remembering the meanings. We access meaning in print via our sound system as beginners. We can't sacrifice that. You don't go straight from the printed word to the meaning. You must learn to sound out, and then you can start to build the link between print and meaning. The next thing you want to ask is, what kind of phonics are they doing? Everybody's doing phonics now, but what sort? Are they doing really good phonics, or are they just doing initial or incidental phonics? So here's an example of what initial and incidental phonics looks like. So here we have A is for apple, which is correct. A is for apple. However, it also has arm, autumn, ape, aeroplane and asleep, all of which start with completely different sounds. So arm starts with the sound R, or, a, air, and it's actually an E at the start of the aeroplane, and the unstressed vowel in the word asleep. When we're spelling the word asleep, we say asleep, but not when we're saying it, we just say asleep. So the letter A is often presented to children as representing multiple sounds, and it can be very, very confusing for children with poor phonemic awareness. So I just pulled a couple of things off the internet. No, that one was my example I made up. It's a bit exaggerated. This one, it has aeroplane, ant and almonds on it, so it's got 3 sounds represented. Here's a nice one with C, letter C. Starting from the letter C, not noticing that the word chair and chicken are here, which is a ch, not a k. And you could have chef or you could have chemist, I've seen in some books. You have letter g for giraffe, or no, that starts with a j. And then you also have these word walls, which are the logical conclusion to that kind of thinking, where words are put up on the wall based on the letters that they start with, not the sounds, the letters. So you can see in this wall maybe it's got the letter O, and it has out, over, old, hour, and oil. So we've already got ow. We've got 2 examples of the sound ow, one of O, one of O, and one of oi, just in that little segment here. Over here we've got the letter K, K, and the first 2 words on the list are no and new, which starts with an n sound. It's an important educational principle that we should work from the known to the unknown. So we should be starting with the sounds in children's mouths when we're teaching them about sounds and letters. These cards are from the Tools for Reading website. There's actually an Australian one now, with the Australian sounds being slightly different from Mary Dahlgren, the author's American sounds. And these are her Kid Lips cards, which have photos of kids saying the sounds, nice gappy teeth there, or you could get your own students to take photos of how to say each sound. And then you organise words under these headings rather than organising them under letters, because letters, as you could see before, can be tremendously confusing because they can be used to represent multiple sounds. But if you have a nice organisation where you have the sounds laid out and then you're putting words under the sounds, it helps children to be able to understand the logic of our writing system. You could also use embedded picture mnemonics to organise your sound wall. Here are some cheap ones from my website that you can download and print. And you can see we've got the sound A represented, it includes a picture of an apple, and the sound A is represented including a picture of rain, R with the word car, and or with corn, and air with hair. And I've got a whole set of all the sounds of spoken English. And so then if you've got or words, you can put you could write them with these dry erase crayons, or else they're easy to rub off than whiteboard markers, or else you can put lists of words on, so or as in corn, or for, tor, or as in more, core, store, tor, war. Those ones are at the end of words. Saw, law, draw, drawn, lawn. So these ones are at the end of words, or sometimes with n or ul after them. There's or with an ul sound after it very often. Ought. Words are often written like this. And here's or, as in autumn and August. So you can see here the or sound in autumn, the AU, is linked to the sound or. It's not falsely linked to the a, as in apple. The message from Reading Scientists is loud and clear. It's the sounds and the letters that are the entry point that take us into accessing meaning through print. And so it's through sounding out words, understanding the sounds in our mouth and how they link to letters on the page, that then allows us to build that meaning pathway and start to read really rapidly by recognising words automatically, and start to do things like read for enjoyment. And so I hope that this video has been helpful. I hope my website is helpful, and please contact me if you have any feedback or questions.